and I'm also going to be interviewing today Raj, who is a well-known wildlife photographer, especially in India and Kenya, and he does a lot of awesome work. So I'm very excited to interview him today. Uh, I'm not that well known as a photographer yet, but I'm an up and coming photographer, so it's going to be really cool to interview him and to get to know him a little bit. So, Raj, whenever you're ready, you can come in and join, and we can get started.
Hey, Nicolas.
Hey, Raj, thank you for joining us all the way from the other side of the world. A bit late, but it's nice to see you.
Better late than never.
That's true. Better late than never. I know we had a little bit of disruptions in the beginning, so we're starting a bit late. It's already 6:30, so why don't we just dive right into it? I hope you don't mind a few questions first of just getting to know you. Feel free to introduce yourself, a little bit of your work, some of your
Mhm.
yeah main interests in photography and all that.
Yep. Hey, everyone who's joined live. Thanks for joining. For those of you who don't know me, Rajharsha here, an ambassador with Fujifilm. Also have my own company here in India called Camera Shutter Up, and a couple of camps in Kenya and Masai Mara. I spend a lot of time clicking out there in the wild. I started my journey full time with wildlife photography about 8 years back when I quit uh, my full time IT job. Uh, and I never actually looked back. It's been a fun journey. I'm sure Nicholas has a bunch of questions for me, so let's do it with that.
Yeah, I definitely do have a lot of fun and interesting questions. Hopefully, I mean, I hope you find them interesting. But I just wanted to ask a few things about like the beginning of your journey. I feel like wildlife photography is something that like everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people have a lot of passion for and always want to get started. But it's always quite difficult to get started in the beginning and to find that motivation. At least I feel that for myself, trying to juggle kind of like my photography as a side gig and and like the main stuff that I'm doing, which in my case is university work. So how did you like come to that decision that wildlife photography was ultimately the thing you wanted to pursue as your main career?
To be honest, it was a dive I just took, right? Even I was not sure what I'm getting myself into. Uh, so when I switched from IT, uh, it was uncharted territory for me. I didn't know whether, I was going to make money, whether I need to join IT back, whether I can do it as a full-time job and make money out of it. That was the first question. And to tell you, it's not easy doing it full-time, just being a photographer, because even your Shutterstock and any of these places that actually do uh, is an aggregator to help you sell your pictures don't pay you as much or enough that you can lead a good life just doing that. So you
Mhm.
have to have other streams of income coming in, which is could be doing your trips, teaching photography, maybe investing in a place like I did, where you have that constant income coming in. If you say, you know what, I just want to do photography and I want to earn money from that, wildlife is not your thing. Events would probably get you that money, but not wildlife.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot. I hear like wildlife photography is a lot about marketing yourself and kind of being like your own little manager, uh, because you have to do so much in order to get that extra money. It's like a lot of side hustling, and it's not only about being a good photographer, which like for me
That's right.
is quite intimidating in the beginning. Like it's like so
Mhm.
many things that I have to master before I get into it. So I feel like it's definitely not what you expect it to be in the beginning. Of course, I don't know as much of the journey as you. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm hoping one day I might, but
Yeah, I mean, one part of it that you would have faced as well is, wildlife photography is not cheap. I mean, you need to buy your gear. Uh, Having gear is not enough. You actually need to get to places. Uh, Going to places, I think Africa is not cheap. Many people think that, you know what, Africa is cheap place. It's not, especially doing safaris. The same thing with India, Southeast Asia, South America. You spend a lot when it comes to wildlife, even though, say you go to just for a vacation to a place like South America or Kenya,
yeah.
you may not spend as much as you would when you do wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
because wildlife is it's one taking you to places that are pretty remote, which means that one is getting there, two getting supplies there, three getting good guides who know the place are not cheap.
Yeah.
And there's a big misconception when it comes to, you know what, uh, people come to me and say, you know what, I have a budget of this much and I want to go to Kenya. And I tell them, you know what, it's not really going to happen because, uh, uh, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
The park entrance, putting everything together takes time.
Yeah. But I feel like
Uh,
Yeah, I feel like that side of photography is very expensive, but I think the also the beauty of of wildlife photography is how accessible it can be. Because at least in my case, in my experience, being a student, where you're really on a budget, you don't got a lot of money to play with,
mhm,
you're able to photograph the stuff that's just outside of your door. It's just a matter of finding it. And at least in my experience, especially beginning, I started discovering a whole new world to at least my continent. I'm in Europe currently in the Netherlands. I mean, you can see on the
mhm,
poster. Oh, yeah, in this way, it's kind of weird to see with the camera, but you can see some of the wildlife. I've seen all these animals on the poster. So like when you start to like be more into wildlife photography, when you start to get more invested, you also realize certain things, and you're able to find wildlife quicker and better, and you're able
mhm,
to learn those behaviors. And at least in my case, I feel you can make it at least getting to places. I understand to get to places like Africa, but to get interesting subjects, you don't always need to go for a big line. Like you're not going to start your career out like that. I feel like, I talk to a lot of other young and upcoming photographers as well because
mhm.
it's good to network. It's good to get all these
Yeah.
different people on board, and a lot of them say you got to start out. Especially with people from Europe, at least, you got to start out with the small stuff. You got to start out with like the mice, the little birds, and everything. And that kind of gets you into some other different
Yep.
hobbies. Like now, I'm an avid birder because I like to do wildlife photography and I like birds, and so you learn as you go. But I totally understand the Africa ain't cheap. I agree.
Yeah, no, but you're right about a lot of people starting off want to, touch and feel and see whether this is for them or not. And that's where, looking out your window, you probably find a bunch of birds or walking around where you're from can give you a lot of really good subjects as well. Birds, especially the people who I know who don't care about mammals at all. They're core hardcore birders, and they're out every weekend. If not around their house, they're out somewhere searching for birds. It's not just about clicking birds, they're out searching for birds. And again, photography is one part of it. I have people who are core birders who don't even care about clicking the bird. They just want to come there and see it with their own eyes, and that's all they want to do
Mm,
you know so photography has become a lot cheaper compared to what it was, because cameras are accessible, bigger lenses are comparatively cheaper, and everyone can almost get one, right? Whatever budget you have, even if it's not a huge lens, 7300, you can still get great pictures of that.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally relate to the birder thing and going out every morning and trying to see birds. But I feel like with all of this competition, because one of the arguments I hear for a lot of people starting out is that there's so many people doing photography. There's so many people who are trying to make a name for themselves. How do you make yourself stand out? How do you make yourself different from everybody else?
It's tough. It's not easy. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, the Natural History Museum in Britain had its World Wildlife Competition. I don't know how many of you saw that live last night. And one of the pictures that won was by a guy from India, from Calcutta, who went to hide, an animal hide in Kenya, spent 7 nights there, right? And got this picture of a bunch of lions drinking water at a hide. Uh, Now, my question is, how many people could one afford to do something like that to get an award-winning picture?
Hmm.
You know, to answer your question, to get that recognition, uh, a lot of it nowadays is become where people have spent so much. It's not someone clicking in the backyard taking a great picture. There was one like that, I think, a couple of years back, that a person had taken a picture of a bat, with street lights and all neon as the background. it's very unlikely that you see pictures like that winning something, especially when it comes to wildlife. um, Even birds, for that matter, it's not recognized as much because there's so many people clicking the same thing. To
Mm-hmm.
stand out, you need to have something different,
Mm.
right? So the backyard birder, unless he or she's got really lucky with
Mm.
something, yeah, unlikely. Because to stand out with so much competition, if you see on Instagram, you go search for a specific species of bird. There's so many pictures, every angle of it, up, down, in the trees, on the ground, everywhere. It just makes it tougher to stand out. I think your editing skills make a big difference over there.
I agree with that. I mean, I have a friend that's starting out, and I say like editing, it provides your own style. It's kind of like a watermark in a way, but it shows
Mhm.
that it's you, you know, based on your
Yeah,
like preferences. But I feel like
right.
you're very right about unless a birder is very lucky, like a garden birder, he's going to get that photo. Because I feel like the most important thing about photography is like the consistency. It's like the drive to go out every day or to spend that 7 nights in a hide and wait for something interesting to happen. I think that's the
Yep.
part where most people kind of falter because they're
Mhm.
like, today I really want to sleep in, or today I don't really want to go outside because it's raining. But it's like when people do that, when people push themselves, that's when they get something remarkable. You know, that's when they get something like really different. Like
That's true.
one of my favorite stories. It's a photo that I haven't posted on Instagram yet, but it's a photo that I really liked. Was this one time I went out with a friend in Denmark. This is back when I was living with my parents still, and we went, and the forecast was going to be absolutely like pouring down rain, drenching, and we went to look for red deer and we found them. And my friend, we went out and he had done this before, and he says, wait, put like a low shutter speed, and the rain is going to create these streaks and it's going to create like a beautiful effect on your photo. And I got some really
Mm.
nice photos of like the red deer in the rut, you know, doing its call with the rain. And he got a photo that was so good it won like a local competition in Denmark. And I feel like when you
Lovely.
yourself like that, when you like really love wildlife and you really don't you don't care about how bad the weather is, you kind of just push yourself to, you know, rise above these like natural issues. You can like really create some stuff that's extremely different and that a lot of other people don't get to really see because nobody wants to go out in the rain. So, you know,
That is very true. Some of the best wildlife moments are when you least expect them.
yeah, I totally
That's
agree
very
with
true. Yeah.
that. But yeah, what do you think has been your most unforgettable moment though? Like going out in the field every day. Like, what's one moment that really stands out to you?
There's so many, so many. I
You can.
mean, it's a lot of people ask me this question, saying that don't you get bored of doing what you're doing when you see the same tiger or the same lion every day? It's that excitement of seeing the animal, even on a daily basis, still gives me the same thrill that it did the first time I saw them. And especially being a photographer, I guess every moment is different. you
Mm,
know you learn from your past mistakes. You go back, you see your pictures, you're like, you know what, maybe I should have done it this way, maybe I should have done it that way. And in wildlife, it's not always that it happens where you choose a specific, or you have something envisioned in your mind.
yeah.
It's not all going to come together when you're out there because you're not in control, right? It's nature that's in control. You might want it facing you or facing away, and you only want the light in a specific spot. So, yeah, I mean, every moment, all these moments that I've had out there have been incredible. Some of the ones that stuck with me are probably the mother and the cubs, the father and cubs, the lions especially. Tigers, not as much with the cubs because forests here are really dense.
Yeah.
And when you do get to see them with the cubs, they are usually in the bush.
Hmm.
And it's not from a photography or videography standpoint, unless you're spending a lot of time, which means that a lot of money. uh, it's really tough. On the other hand, in Kenya, being grasslands, you get to spend a little more time with them, with being open. And some of the backgrounds there are, I mean, in Kenya, the sunsets, sunrises, yeah, can't forget that. I think
Yeah.
those are the more. It's you have a beautiful sunrise and you haven't found an animal. You have a tree there, which is still a great picture.
Yeah.
But being a wildlife photographer, you want uh, some kind of animal, some kind of action, which is not always the case, right?
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Like that's the kind of the fun of wildlife photography, though. It's the unpredictability of it. Sometimes you go out and
Mhm.
you see nothing, and sometimes you go out and you see something amazing. But it's the fact that you get to see something amazing and that it doesn't happen all the time that makes it special. You know,
Yeah,
if we went out all the time and the line was like just like a statue at the same place every day,
it'd be no fun.
you know, that's the thing. When I go out, for me, I just want to see something
Mhm.
interesting. Like if I see the same birds every day, that's okay with me. But if I see like a
Mhm.
cool behavior, or like sometimes I see like the in where I'm from, we have like kestrels and we have the hen harriers when they're fighting
Mhm.
sometimes in my nature park. That to me, that's exciting right there because I don't get to see that every day.
Mhm.
Or when I see the
Right.
white-tailed eagles hunting, for me, that's like,
Mhm.
wow, even if it's far away, even if I don't really get some nice photos out of it, at least it's something that keeps me going. You know, it's that like
Mhm.
pump of adrenaline, which I'm sure you feel
Yeah,
as well whenever you see like some
yeah.
wildlife.
That's the thing. One day they'll be close enough for me to click. That's why
Exactly.
you go back.
Persistence, persistence. But like I now we got some of your favorite moments, but I was wondering also because at least in my experience, my mom, she's worried about me all the time whenever I'm going out doing wildlife photography, especially when I'm going after like snakes or like wolves
Mhm.
or when I'm going alone in the jungle. So, what are some of your most dangerous moments doing wildlife photography?
Ah, okay. Being chased by elephants, being chased by a rhino. Uh, I think the freshest one is being chased by a rhino, which was earlier this year. And I was with one of my groups, and if I'm not mistaken, this was Lake Nakuru. And there was a herd of these rhinos walking, and they found this kind of pit, which was muddy. And we were parked, and all of them were kind of sunbathing in there. And one of them kept walking, came close to the car, seemed totally harmless, and all of a sudden started charging. Luckily we had a great driver who backed up, got us into place, and yeah, so that being charged by elephants has happened a few times, both in India as well as Kenya.
Hmm.
Uh, I think uh, the buffalo, the rhino, the elephant not as much, can be pretty unpredictable.
Hmm.
Elephants, certain times of the year, depends on whether they're in must or not.
Yeah.
But the big cats usually are, you don't feel that fear um, as such, because they, as long as you are in the vehicle,
Hmm.
and you're not, they don't feel threatened.
Hmm.
It's most animals. If they feel threatened, they're going to attack you. If they don't, they're doing that thing. You respect their space and they respect yours.
I feel like that's a big misconception with a lot of people that usually the predators are very
Mhm.
dangerous. But I think
Mhm.
in most areas, it's actually the herbivores because they're the ones that are usually hunted. So they're more like skittish, more like prone to attack or do something dangerous, right? Like when you're in
I
the vehicle, maybe not outside.
Yeah, I think the keyword that you used is when they're being hunted.
Mm,
So places like Kenya, where hunting is illegal,
mm,
uh, even the big cats and stuff are not as on edge
yeah,
as in places where hunting is legal. Like in Botswana, you go on a safari where game hunting is legal. It's even finding a lion there can be a pain because all of them are so scared of humans, of vehicles, because they know they're being attacked.
yeah.
And that's the sad part. I think what's happening in Africa is the countries where uh, tourism is doing really well,
Hmm.
where you have Kenya, you have Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda, all these places which have a yearly constant flow of tourists coming in, don't need to resort to selling their animals where people can come and hunt them.
Yeah.
It's the other countries where tourism doesn't get them enough money, that
Hmm.
they have to lure tourists in some way, and this is the way of doing that. Probably not the best thing to do,
Yeah.
but surprisingly, there's a huge market for that. And even I was surprised to know that there are a lot of people who are looking to do stuff like that.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised too. I mean, I've had very little like look into the trophy hunting world, mostly
Mhm.
because you don't get much of it here in. I mean, you got a lot of people going to Africa for trophy hunting from Europe, but you don't have a lot of people doing trophy hunting in Europe, right? At least in my
Yeah.
experience, I don't know many trophy hunters. The only hunters I
Mhm.
know usually go out for food, not for trophies. So
Right.
I can understand that, but I think also another side of the spectrum is when people go to an area too frequently and it gets the animal a bit too habituated to people and it becomes dangerous. Like, at least in the Netherlands, we have like the wolf, which is on the top of this poster. And currently, we had a situation in our national park where we
Hmm.
had a pack of wolves and they weren't afraid of people. And there's no management on like the amount of people that are allowed to go there, and there's no management on the interaction between people and animals. I mean, there is management, but it's very limited, because the
Hmm.
rangers can't be everywhere at once. So
Right.
people who are not in vehicles are getting too close to
Hmm.
the wolves, trying to get their own personal photos, are feeding the wolves, and are making them too comfortable to people. And when that
Hmm.
happens, there's more risks of like wolf attacks or a wolf
Yeah.
accidentally lashing out or being misunderstanding the situation or
Hmm.
getting too close to a kid and then somebody interprets that as the wolf trying to eat the kid or something. There's a lot of situations
Yeah.
like that because people, at
Hmm.
least in Europe, are not used to these big animals living in these areas anymore. So I think it's a balance,
Yes.
you know.
It is. I mean, the situations here in similar situations here in India. So, the
Mm,
number of tigers in India had decreased a lot,
mm,
right? Into the few hundreds couple of years back, and now it's back up to the thousands. But what happened is the Indian government did a great job in conservation, saying that you know what, this area is going to be earmarked for tigers, and so the population increases.
mhm,
So they removed any kind of human settlements from in there. They called it a tiger sanctuary, all of that. Now that the numbers have increased, every tiger requires its own territory. So it's
mhm.
spilling over out of the boundaries. So the area that they earmarked is called the core zone, and they have a buffer zone which is around it where there is also human habitation.
Yeah,
Uh, and now because these animals are coming out, they find it easier to hunt cattle, right? Which means that the farmer whose cattle it is does not like that.
yeah,
And the farmers usually leave bait, which is could be a poison goat or something like that. The tiger comes, makes the kill, eats it, tiger dies because it's poisoned.
yeah.
And this human animal conflict is pretty predominant here in India at the moment, only because the numbers have increased so much.
Yeah, we're having the same here as well with the wolf. Like in the
Mhm.
Dutch, at least in the Netherlands, and in also my home country, Switzerland,
Mhm.
wolves were hunted to complete extinction, and now they have returned to the country through natural migration. And at
Mhm.
least in the Netherlands, now it's one of the European countries with the highest density of wolves. And before they
Wow.
lived in the Veluwe area, which is
Mhm.
any Dutch watchers, pardon me for my pronunciation. I know it's not great, but they lived in this Veluwe National Park, and we had packs, and they started to form. And before it was relatively okay. There was some conflict with sheep farmers, but now the
Mhm.
densities are getting so high that some of the wolves are starting to spill out and are starting to
Mhm.
search for new territories, and this is a problem. And they're also becoming too habituated to people because in these national parks, a lot of people also use them as recreational areas. So that means
Yeah.
that they have no cars. There's not a lot of supervision. So these people are going in and are interacting with the wolves a lot, and the wolves are just getting very used to all of these people because the
Having
village is
people.
very
Yeah.
densely populated. All these people
Mhm.
coming into their homes, right? So it's creating a
Yeah.
lot of conflict, and the Dutch government is discussing shooting the wolves as management or trying to scare the wolves, like using paintball
Mhm.
guns. That was one of the discussions they had a few years ago. Shooting the wolves with paintball
Really,
guns to give negative reinforcement so that they don't come into contact with people as often.
with people. And
Yeah.
that could work the other way too, where they could start attacking as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's some situations also because at least in the Netherlands, people aren't used to having big predators. So there's a
Right.
video that has circulated around the internet, was very popular 1 or 2 years back, and it was of a wolf, a young wolf, a young adult, and it was acting very playful to a guy while he was biking through the national park. And to anybody who doesn't know wolf behavior, that looks like the wolf is trying to attack the guy.
Right.
But the wolf
Right.
is, it looks like a dog trying to play, where it goes down and like
Yeah. Hmm.
leans a bit forward, jumps back, is
Yeah.
like panting. It's like kind of you can see it's kind of just playing around. It's not trying to kill the guy. It's just really
Hmm.
curious. But that curiosity fosters like hatred, and farmers, they
Yeah.
really hate the wolf here, so they often go and they try and like persecute the wolf. There's a lot of protests in some areas in Europe. I know there's also revenge killings where if a wolf would kill a member of livestock, people will
Hmm.
go out actively and try and kill that wolf. And currently in the
Hmm.
Netherlands, if a wolf is recorded for killing a sheep or something, I don't know if this has been implemented yet or if it's going to be implemented, but they will hunt that wolf. They will kill that wolf so that it doesn't have that behavior reoccurring, so that it
Oh
doesn't
my
come back and
goodness.
kill the sheep. It like
Okay.
discourages
Yeah.
the other from doing it. But I think it's an issue, right? Because on one hand,
Yeah.
family is farmers in Switzerland that can understand that you don't want your livestock to be eaten. But on the other
Hmm.
hand, as an avid nature lover, I don't
Hmm.
agree with the idea of hunting an animal that has just returned to Europe and also doesn't have very
Yeah.
high densities yet. Isn't like
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's at the numbers where you can start persecuting them once again. They're back. We should
Agreed.
welcoming
Yeah.
them instead of killing them.
No. Yeah. That's what they did here. They if a tiger or a leopard hunts cattle or livestock,
Hmm.
the farmer is compensated by the government. Probably not as much as the farmer is looking for because they're not happy, but they still get some amount of compensation for their livestock.
Hmm.
And if you ask me, I think that's still a good thing because the tiger is getting its food, maybe the easier way. The farmer's getting compensated for it, and no one's really killing or trying to harm the animal as such. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to get my head around the killing of the wolves if it kills in something. That's the natural way things usually happen, right? I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you got to also see it from the wolf's perspective. It doesn't know that the sheep is somebody
is
else's,
out
right?
is
For
out of bounds. Yeah,
it's prey. It doesn't register. Oh, this is
exactly.
some like sheep or livelihood. I shouldn't kill it. The wolf is just thinking, oh, free food. I'm
Food.
hungry. I got to survive.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
But in Switzerland, I think we had the same thing for the lynx,
Hmm.
where the lynx, if it killed an animal, the government would subsidize the farmer for the animal that had died based on like when
Hmm.
the animal was killed, like how much money they would have earned from it, and all of
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things. But I think it still
Hmm.
creates resentment from the farmers for these animals coming in and killing their livestock.
Yeah.
But I think what people need to learn is to start adapting to the fact that predators are coming back, at least in Europe. Uh,
Yeah.
and in Africa as well, I hear of a lot of projects of trying to get people to learn how to not necessarily to try and start better coexisting, right? Because as wildlife comes back, we're going to need to adapt to it encroaching a bit more in our spaces. So a lot more like guard dogs and a lot of different types of fencing and new technologies to try and prevent conflict.
That too, but when it comes to Africa, other than so, most people who have joined here would probably have heard, you know what, Masai Mara is the mecca for wildlife.
Hmm.
And being in Kenya, other than the people who are actually actively working in the tourism industry, the drivers, the guides, and the Masai people,
Mm-hmm.
a common man that lives in Kenya, who's a Kenyan citizen,
Mm-hmm.
has probably never seen a lion in his life,
Mm-hmm.
even though they have the highest lion populations around there. One of the,
Yeah.
and that's really surprising that, you know what, the common man there does not care much for the wildlife that they have.
Hmm.
On the other hand, the Maasai people that live there are so close to nature. You know, they would take care of the animals. They know where the lions are. They live off the land even now. Like some of the people that travel with me, I take them to the Maasai village there. And when we leave, a lot of them ask me, "So these guys, are they going to go back home after they're done?" I was like, "They still live like that. That's actual home. They don't. They're not putting on a show.
Hmm.
They still actually live there."
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I feel like that's quite different. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different situations, but that's quite different from the Netherlands, for example, where there's high levels of human density, and there's not a very
Mhm.
clear border between what's a wildlife area and what's not a wildlife area, especially for the animals,
Mhm.
because those will often leak out into the area and walk around, and it's kind of hard to keep these animals at least in that area. There's a lot of videos. So
Yeah.
we have our available area, which is like the biggest green nature area, is separated into different sections, and we have the Hoogevelu, which has this big
Hmm.
fence that's supposed to keep red deer in. And there's videos of wolves jumping this fence, and it's a very big fence. You can probably search it up
Okay.
on YouTube of the wolves
Hmm.
interacting and jumping over the fence. But it's to show that in areas such as Europe, where wildlife is making a comeback, where it's starting to grow at a rapid pace, like how to kind of live together instead of fighting against nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can move on into a few other questions. Um, but yeah, I mean, moving towards a bit more back to photography and
Hmm.
the topics that probably a lot of other photographers are interested in. I was curious about when you go on these trips, how do you prepare for like a big shoot? What type of equipment do you bring, and what's the mindset that you have to bring with yourself? What's like the mental preparation you have to go through before going through one of these big trips?
Uh, wow. Okay. So one is you got to be ready to spend long days, tiring hours, get up early in the morning, uh, sometimes bare minimums, especially if you are searching for a specific shot, right?
Mm,
I mean, for the average tourist, you start at 5, 6 in the morning, you go out for a couple of hours, you come back for your lunch, rest at your lodge and then go back. It's fine. If you have people who are really, really keen on photography, you're eating your breakfast, lunch, sometimes even your evening snack out there until the sun goes down, or maybe even a sundowner at times. Um, it's tiring. You need to be prepared to be one, tired, but best part about it is you get a great sleep at night.
mm,
Two is don't go there with any expectations. Sometimes, you get to see great stuff, sometimes you don't.
mm,
Uh, Especially things like the migration, for example.
yeah,
Uh, the people come there with the hopes of seeing the migration. When you tell people, what the migration happens between somewhere around July to about September, what people think is, what, okay, if I travel between July and September, I go do one safari, I'm going to see it. Unfortunately, not. This is nature at the end of the day. They could, even if you do 3 or 4 days of safari, sometimes on those 3 or 4 days, they're probably not around to cross or they don't want to cross, which means that you're not going to see them cross the river. So you're not going to see the river crossing. But you'll
yeah,
still get to see the land migration if you go during that time. But the path that people want to come and see where these wildebeest are running across the river and there's a crocodile trying to grab one of them, it's just one of those examples of, people come there with this thing in mind saying, what, I'm going to go do this. And in wildlife, there's never a time where, you think it and it happens. It's very rare. It's like, what, I'm going to go there, I'm going to see a cheetah hunt,
mm-hmm,
right? You might see the cheetah run after a gazelle, but it's not going to actually catch it. Out of 10 times, it probably gets it once,
yeah. So it's like a
you
very
know?
yeah, it's a mindset where you have to keep constantly changing, work with the moment.
Yeah, and the question is now, where do you want to be? Do you want to wait for the wildebeest to cross, or if
Mm,
there's a cheetah hunting there, do you want to wait with the cheetah who's probably going to hunt? That's a choice you have to take, and both are things you can't predict.
mm-hmm,
It could be that the next minute the cheetah hunts while you're waiting here, or you say, what, I'm going to go to the cheetah, and as soon as you leave, the wildebeest are going to cross. So it's a gamble. It's a gamble at the end of the day. Having good guides that can see and say, what, the chances of this is probably going to be high
mm-hmm,
compared to, traveling another hour to get there. And sometimes that makes a big difference.
yeah.
Learning that animal behavior, seeing how the animals are behaving, and taking a call based on that.
Yeah. Do you find yourself like as you go more on these trips, especially to Kenya, which I've heard you've been to a lot, do you find yourself being able to more pick up these differences, be able to tell the signs about like, oh, this might happen more likely than this other scenario? Are you able to pick up on these things?
Yes, over time, the more you spend time with them, the more you get to see them. You do. And saying that, animal behavior to a large extent, yes, you can see, what, this leopard has made a hunt, and it's probably the last few times that it did hunt, it climbed up the tree within the first 10 minutes. So the chances that it's going to climb up in 10 minutes is high. But
Yeah.
saying that, you never know, that leopard could be a lot more tired than it usually is, and it's going to sleep in the bush for probably 2 hours before it climbs up, and you're going to be sitting there where you can't even probably see it. And that's happened. You
Yeah.
know, this time in Kenya, there's this leopard that hunted a few times, and every time went straight up the tree. And this once, it was like, we didn't know where it was. And we waited, almost sunset, time to go. Next morning we came there, the kill's on the tree.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes it's
yeah,
like that.
that's
Yeah.
as much as you think you can predict this stuff,
Yeah.
sometimes it's tough to.
Yeah.
But
It's just
yeah, over time. So animals are usually pretty constant with their behavior, uh, especially when they have cubs around and stuff like that. They have a set pattern which you can follow. So going by that, yes, you can say to a large extent that what the chances of it coming out or doing this at this particular time of the day is high.
mm,
So yeah, and over time you just learn those patterns more and more.
yeah. But do you think, yeah, so do you think then that research is also really important when going into the field, like learning animal behaviors, like researching on your subject and what you're planning to go photograph, trying to have like a specific, like I know you said before, when you're a photographer, you have like something specific in mind you're trying to go photograph. But do you think like reading up on this animal and trying to like be able to distinguish the different behaviors before going on these big trips, do you find that like helping you significantly when you go on these trips, or do you just rely on the guide most of the time?
So uh, it depends on where you are. It
Hmm.
could be so the animal behavior of leopards here in India is very different from the animal behavior of the leopards in Kenya, right? So reading up about a leopard per se is
Hmm.
not going to help as much when you're actually there with that animal, because each animal has its own behavior and characteristics. It's like, so I have two dogs, right? And
Hmm.
both of them are poles apart. One would see you at the door and come running straight to you, want pets and jump all over you. The other one is guarded. He'll come and bark at you. Now it's the same thing with these animals. You never know which one is how. And that's where the local guides that you have, the ones who see them every single day, day in and day out, who know what they're going to do, are the ones that will give you the best, tell you the best thing to do for your photography.
Hmm.
Some of these guides are great with photography, some of them are not. They might not know where the light is, they don't know where to position the vehicle, but they know what the animal is going to do, they know where the animal is going to be. As a photographer, I can tell them where I want to be to click that picture.
Yeah.
But they are much better off than me when it comes to, what, this animal is going to do this animal is going to be here. And
Yeah.
I would go with them when it comes to that. You
Okay.
know, I would follow their lead.
How do you
Um,
just? No, sorry. Keep on going. My bad.
go, no, no, you were asking something. Go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask because you're talking a lot about guides. How do you like when planning out a trip like this? How do you distinguish like a good sort of not only company but also good guides to go with? Like, how do you plan out your trip so you make sure that you're with somebody that you can rely on to get you those moments where you can take that photo?
So in Kenya especially, I have my team because I have my resorts there. I have my team. And when I get new people, I usually go out with them personally. So when people come with me, I'm
Hmm.
able to give them, a good experience when they're there. And the same thing here with most of the places I go, I have a good rapport with the guides that I'm gonna have with me.
Hmm.
One is a rapport. Two is also, by talking to someone, you can find out how much they really know,
Hmm.
and have your expectations right. Like even before you go, you tell them, what, I'm coming there because I want to try doing this. It's not that I want to do this because it
Hmm.
might not happen. But if he knows his way around, he'll get you to what you want.
Yeah. So it's a lot of
Yeah.
networking.
It is a lot of networking.
Yeah.
So it's networking, and it's, different people work differently. And
Hmm.
sometimes you find the people that work the way you do, who gels with the way you work.
Yeah.
And once you find those people, it makes life a lot easier to, have these people around when they know. Some of these guides are extremely good. I mean, they know where what is, they keep track. A lot of the good guides are not the ones who go out into the wild and say, Some of them are like, you know what, they have a good network. They're like, this person has told me this is happening here, and this person told me this is happening here. I feel the chances of this is better, so let's go here.
Yeah.
you know so I think it's not just about them alone, it's about the network they have. It's about how well they are known or even liked in that community,
Yeah.
for people to tell them stuff. So yeah,
Wow. I mean, that must be very complicated because it's a lot of social interaction that has to go into
it
this. A lot
is.
of like talking and interviewing and reaching out. Do you find it difficult also when you have to reach out and organize these things? At least in my case, like most of my reaching out and networking is in an academic field because currently I'm doing my university
Mhm.
studies. So often, like I don't get a lot of responses. People just kind of give you the cold shoulder, and it's a lot of like trial and error, sending out emails and never getting response. Is that the same for you?
Very similar. I mean, setting things up like I was saying some time back. People, one is the misconception of how much do I really need to spend to go do something like this. And people say, you know what, we want to go to Kenya, why don't you send me a quotation? And I
Mm.
send them a quotation. There could be multiple responses. One is, you know what, great, love it, we're gonna join you. One is, you know what, I'm going to Africa, this is too costly. And the third is they see the prices and they probably don't even get back to me. The cold shoulder right there. And it happens. Like a lot of people who are in the market to go somewhere
Mhm.
are always looking for the best price they can get. So you have to be competitive in what you charge. You can't overcharge people and, say, you know what, this is how it's going to be. That it won't work because there's going to be someone else who's going to be able to give them something at a better rate.
Yeah.
Uh, but saying that, yes, it's a lot of follow up, it's a lot of networking. For me, it's been a lot of word of mouth. People who have traveled with me uh, enjoyed the way I organize things, and they enjoyed the trip, so they go tell more people, and that's how people travel with me. And that's how it's been more or less from the starting, because I have never even now don't advertise at all.
Oh.
It's interact with people, they reach out to me, and they come with me. Other than that, so I'm usually in Kenya 4 to 6 months a year, and the people who come and stay at my lodge there, I go out with them at times. So even if I don't have my groups, there are times when I like going out just all by myself. I don't have to bother about anyone else. Do my photography. Gives me that peace of mind.
Hmm.
So I do that as well. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it's incredible. Also, the fact that you had no marketing, I would have expected way more marketing behind trying to get the people's attention, like to come on your trips, but just via word of mouth. Was that difficult to start out with? Just having to go via word of mouth? Business must have been slow in the beginning, no? Or
In the beginning, it was harsh. It took not just harsh. I mean, uh, when it started, after I started, COVID hit as well.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So it took a while, and so for me the thing is I don't do back to back like I prefer doing small groups, not doing a very large group. I like having that personal interaction with the people who travel with me. I like to know them. I like to sit and talk with the people who come with me, uh, and I think that's what creates that bond between people, right?
Yeah.
When you have a large group, like say you have 20 or 50 people coming with you, and you're doing a 5 day trip, how much can you really interact with someone? You don't get to. I mean, if you're doing it as a photography trip where you're teaching people photography, yes, you're sitting there, you're telling them stuff, they're listening, they do their thing, and they leave.
Mhm.
You might even, because you have 50 people there, you're not going to remember half of their names once they leave.
Yeah.
In 3 4 days you don't create that one, and that's why I prefer having 2 to 5 6 people. I try not making it more than that, but invariably you have a bunch of people who want to go on specific dates because it's a long weekend, or it invariably happens that it's more than that, but I still try keeping it small so I get to interact with people more. And I think creating that bond has helped a lot, because they go back and say, you know what, we had such a great time with him, I think you should do.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. Well, trying to highlight on the fact that it's talking all about experience. I mean, that's the main thing I guess we try and get out of these trips is not only photos, but experience and stories and stuff that makes us really excited to go back. In your perspective, when you do these types of trips, is the trip more rewarding to you, or is the acquisition of the photos like the highlight for you?
I think it's some of both.
Mm.
Uh, See, the photography is, even though I started this as a photography thing, uh, pictures will come. You cannot run after the pictures. When you have to get a picture, you'll get it.
Yeah.
Um, and saying that, the best example I could give you for that is, I used to shoot with Sony at one point,
Mm-hmm.
right? And after that, I became an ambassador with Fujifilm, shooting
Yeah.
with a medium format.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I was shooting with Sony, I could shoot 30 frames a second, which means that I had my finger down on the shutter, I'd get everything that's on there. With the Fuji, I get 8 frames a second. So if that picture was that important to me,
Mm.
right, I would have stuck with the Sony.
Mm.
But moments, if you're supposed to, if you're meant to get it, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
And the switch that I made is, I think it's better to have a really good picture than
Mm-hmm.
have 100 okay pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it.
you know
It's all about.
so it's not just about the picture. If it's meant to be, it'll happen in wildlife.
Mhm.
Everything will come together. And being out there, it is an experience. So having big lenses, what tends to happen is, after a certain point, you have such a close up of the animal, maybe just the face, just the eye. And after all these years of shooting, I have one too many of those pictures.
Yeah.
uh, After a certain point, I just put my camera down, and I'm just enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, if it's something, if the cubs or something, I pull out my phone. Uh, even a wide angle doesn't do justice for when something is that close to you. You
No,
know,
I
Yeah,
agree.
there've been times when there's a cheetah right outside my Land Cruiser, and I've
Mm.
used the wide angle to get a shot of it. And some of them are great shots, but uh, the picture I might forget.
Mm.
If I have my camera down, that's something I won't forget.
Yeah. I think it's way different when
Yeah,
you experience it with your own eyes. I have moments like that
yeah,
too, where I'm outside in the field, and sometimes I just gotta like put down my camera to just like really feel like I'm in the moment. I'm seeing something incredible that I
yeah.
might not ever see again. Especially a lot of the moments that we photograph, especially the good photos, is stuff that we might
Mhm.
not ever see again. So to just live in it, feel it, that's really something special.
Yeah. Even though you're looking at it through your viewfinder, you are definitely looking at it, but there's so many more things going on in your mind when you're looking at it through the viewfinder. You're
Mhm.
like, do I have it composed well? Do I need to compose it differently? Is my exposure right? Do I need to change anything? But when you're just looking at it, you have none of these thoughts.
Yeah, it's just zen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask because I mean, you made this change from IT to wildlife photography,
Hmm.
and I think we've all gone from a sort of transition from our normal lives to our new like kind of like wildlife photography eyes. How do you think that's changed you as a person? How do you think you like? How have your eyes? How have the way you've seen things start to shift from how you were before?
I think I lead a much calmer life right now. Uh, So one is, wildlife especially teaches you patience, a lot of it. You need to have a lot. When in the corporate world, when you are sitting at a desk and you're managing people, you expect results instantaneously. You send out an email and you're expecting something back yesterday,
Mm,
right? In wildlife, you can't expect to do that. You can't expect to be out there and expect things to happen in a certain way. In nature, things are going to happen in its own course, and you learn to wait. You learn to give things space. You just let things be.
mm,
It's not as fast a pace of life as you're used to, so it kind of overall slows you down a bit,
yeah.
which I feel is a really good thing. Um, so it's a double-edged sword in the sense that managing a company, managing the camps, I still have to, you know, be on top of things, be on the computer. I wish, if say I did give it to someone else to do, it would free my hands of it. But either ways, I'm gonna be either trying to make sure they're doing their job,
Mm,
or make sure I'm doing my job. And I think it's easier for me to make sure I'm doing my job than trying to make someone else do their job.
yeah.
So So I stick with this. I do my thing. So other than the guides and the network I have in terms of my business, I do most of it myself. The Kenya thing, I have a great manager. They take care of stuff, and I don't need to worry as much.
Mm,
Uh, so that's uh, patience. I think is one thing that it really teaches you, and it's really important having being able to have that patience, being able to just sit there in the wild in the silence by yourself, and
yeah,
just enjoy what's going on.
yeah, it's
I
great.
think um, seeing kids today, especially,
Mm,
I've had a bunch of kids come on safari, and a lot of them don't have the I don't know if it's the patience or and not just kids but some of the adults as well.
mm,
uh, they come, they see something, and 5 minutes later, they're like, you know what? On to the next. I can't
yeah.
sit here any longer. And that's what that taught me. That you know what? If I'm here and there's nothing going on too, the lion's sleeping there. I'm happy sitting here. I
Mm,
can still sit here. I can sit here all day if I need to.
yeah.
Uh, that's what that's taught me. Because coming from a fast-paced life where there has to be something going on all the time.
Yeah.
I think that disconnect. It took a while, but it happened.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like people have also grown a bit disconnected from the outdoors. I feel people are spending less and less time
Hmm.
outside. And now that we have like more technology that's available to us, we can kind of get entertainment. We can get that dopamine hit constantly,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah,
when being outside in wildlife, it's way more difficult for people to enjoy it. I mean, I take friends outside. I take a lot of people outside as well, just for fun or because they ask me because like, oh, show me around. I want to see a deer for the first time, and I'm like, sure, I'll take you out. But I mean,
right.
it's kind of harsh to say, and I don't mean this for everybody I've taken out in case
Mhm.
because there's some my friends might be watching this, but for some people, especially when it comes to like certain members of people that I'm sometimes close to, I've noticed that they don't often understand how it is to like look for wildlife and appreciate wildlife. They expect stuff to happen almost instantly when it does require a lot of patience. And for me,
Yeah.
I know that that's something I struggle with starting out. I'm not a very patient person if people know
Hmm.
me that well. But wildlife photography has taught me to like slow down. It's taught me to like really wait, really just sort of enable you to think a bit more, to reflect,
Hmm.
to collect your thoughts before you commit the action of taking that photo. When I'm sitting there and
Right.
I'm waiting for something to happen, I just sometimes I just start reflecting. Okay, maybe this could happen, maybe that could happen. Or sometimes I'm
Hmm.
just sitting there and I'm just taking in the moment, thinking, okay, this is a pretty nice scene. When the animal might show up, how am I going to frame it? Just taking my time with it, not rushing myself. So I can kind of
Yeah.
relate to the idea of just like slowing down and also just
Yeah.
appreciating what's in front of you. Sometimes the animal's not doing something interesting, but
Hmm.
when else are you going to see a lion? Especially if you've traveled all
Hmm.
the way to like Kenya or something. Like
Yeah.
it's not cheap to get back there. So
It's not. It's not. But surprisingly, there've been quite a few people who come back
mm,
just because I've had people who've traveled with me more than once and twice. And it's just because of the peace and calm that place gives you
yeah,
sometimes. Uh, and people come with that preconceived notion saying, I want this picture,
mm,
right? And in while you have to keep at it to get it. It's not that you go there once. Well, I've had people who've come who've got everything they wanted in the first shot,
mm,
but I've also had people who have not, right?
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, see, if it was in my hand or someone else's hands, they probably would, right?
yeah.
But that's not how things work.
Mm. I think that's like the main word of the day. If anybody was taking anything away from what it's like to go outside, if they really want to know, I think what's the key to like getting those shots and to being outside is persistence. It's the
Yeah,
willpower to go out every day, to really push yourself. Sometimes when you're not
e-
feeling it. I mean, it's a balance, right?
exactly.
Sometimes you need your care days where you sleep in and don't do much,
Yeah.
but it's also about like pushing yourself to actually get out there. I think that's the most difficult part.
Oh, someone's left a message on there. This is
Oh,
someone who traveled, who came to Kenya with me earlier this year.
oh, nice.
All right. And if you see, so it has a lot of trivia for the kids and adults, and amazing stories to tell while we wait patiently for ours. Yeah, so we had a great time there. So yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
again, patience. I think patience the word
Yeah.
for the day, like you said.
Patience and persistence.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
two important things that
Yeah.
come to wildlife. But yeah, I think yeah, we're at 7:15, so maybe we'll start looking more into what are your plans for the future. If there's any projects or themes or any upcoming events that you are planning that you're the most excited for this year.
I have a bunch of them coming up. So my trips usually all through the year, traveling most of the time. I think the one that I'm most looking forward to is in March.
Hmm.
Going for the snow leopard is going to be a 15-day thing
Oh, that's pretty.
where we're going to be high altitude and lots of snow.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, I come from Switzerland, so like we have a lot of mountains and snow
Yeah.
leopard. I mean, that is like I think it's the ghost of the mountains. It's a very
Yes.
beautiful animal.
Yes.
But
So, like I was saying, the guide there is incredible.
mm,
And he has a great network. He has a bunch of trackers out there. So yeah, hopefully things work out well. Other than that, I have a few coming up locally. I have Kenya coming up again.
mm,
Um, and then there's a Kilimanjaro trek next year. Need to start
mm.
prepping for that as well. Now that's not really wildlife, but yeah, something is coming up.
And hiking
But
is pretty fun too.
apparently the birding there is great on the way
Mm.
up.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
can. You're going through different altitudes, so different habitats for birds. I mean, for all my birders
exactly.
out
Yeah.
there, birding in the mountains is pretty fun. You find some pretty interesting wildlife that's
Yep.
mountain adapted. But yeah, I mean, kind of asked you about your upcoming events, but I kind of have a guess of what it might be. But what's one animal or one place that you really want to photograph?
I'd like to hear what you guessed.
I'm thinking, I mean, based on how you were like selling it, I feel like the snow leopard because that for at least that sounds really cool to me. And from how you were describing it, I was thinking, oh, snow leopard. Why not? That is.
Probably, yeah, that definitely is one. But I think that there are a lot of places. I've been wanting to go to Patna for the jaguars,
Mm,
and I've been wanting to do Costa Rica for the birds.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
a
got to
couple
go
of
there this
things.
winter.
Hmm.
For the first time, I visited some of my mom's family and friends. She's from Honduras, but she has a lot of connections in Costa Rica because she used to work there. And I can
Hmm.
totally sell you on it. It's fantastic for the bird life, for the mammal life too. If you like
Hmm.
reptiles and frogs, it's absolutely incredible. Like it's sometimes it feels overwhelming because it's like everywhere, especially when you go to the rainforest. And
Hmm.
I'll be actually back in Costa Rica.
Hmm.
I'm doing my thesis internship over there, so I'm going to be going over there doing trail camera, checking on trail cams for jaguars and ocelots and different
Oh,
animals.
nice. We're
So
gonna connect offline.
yeah,
Find out when you're gonna
if
be
we're
there.
at the
Yeah.
same, if we're at the same time in the same neighborhood, we can go
Yeah.
out do some photography together. I mean, my main
We'll do
target
something.
while I'm there is the quetzal. For me, that is like the number one bird. Like for me, like if we're talking about my favorite animal, my favorite bird, that's the quetzal. For me, it's like the spirit of Latin America. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think some of the toucans and stuff is what I'd be looking for over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of toucans. I think while I was there,
Yeah.
I saw four different species of toucan. I saw
Hmm.
yellow-billed toucan, keel-billed toucan, and then like I mean they're not really there are toucans, but it's like the akaris. But I forgot the name of the two different akaris I saw. But um, I mean it's fantastic, and I think you'll
Good
if you go there
stuff.
you'll definitely see them. So,
Wow. Nice.
but yeah.
Okay.
Uh, oh,
So I think, yeah.
yeah, I think we're gonna wrap up soon. We'll just have one more question.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
just wanted to ask the final question of like, what workshops or exhibitions or projects should your audience look out for to like see your work? and to see what you're up to?
Insta is probably one of the best places.
Mm,
My website's not as updated,
mm.
but I mean, get in touch with me on Insta. Message me if you're interested in something. Uh, you know, I have a catalog on WhatsApp which you can access through Instagram. So look up my catalog. Even if you're not traveling with me, if you're in the same place as I am, just leave me a message and would be great.
So I think, yeah, we're gonna wrap this up like right about now, basically. But
Yep.
I think to leave some messages with our audience. I mean, I think the golden rules have been patience and persistence when it comes to observing and photographing wildlife. Remember to network, and that wildlife photography, at least that's the main message I got from Raj. It's not just taking good photos; it's a lot more to it. So yeah, guys, I think we're gonna end the live stream. Thank you for
Quick
joining. Follow
quick
Raj.
shout out to
Check out
Denise.
Instagram. He's awesome. And we hope to have him back. We hope to have him soon. Thank you for joining us for our first podcast. We're really happy.
I think we need to get the man behind the scenes here for a quick minute before